The battle for Mariupol. Russia says it will spare the lives of the remaining Ukrainian forces if they surrender in the next few hours. Russia has told the last Ukrainian forces defending Mariupol that their lives will be spared if they lay down their arms this morning. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had earlier warned that peace talks would end if Russian forces killed the remaining troops in the besieged southern city. Helena Wilkinson reports.
For weeks, Mariupol has been battered by sustained Russian attacks. The Kremlin says it's now cleared urban areas of Ukraine forces, and it's made this offer to Ukrainian soldiers fighting in the port city. Lay down your arms by later this morning and your safety will be guaranteed. Earlier, the president of Ukraine had this warning for Russia.
The
elimination of our troops, of our men in Mariupol, will put an end to any negotiations. There is a humanitarian crisis. There is a lack of food, water, medicine. However, the guys are heroically defending themselves. We are grateful to them for that.
The president's warning comes as a second British fighter has reportedly been captured by Russian forces in Mariupol. A video of the man, who gives his name as Sean Pinner, emerged after Aidan Aslin was detained earlier this week. Meanwhile, Russia continues to carry out airstrikes elsewhere in Ukraine. In the capital, Kyiv, one person was killed and several were wounded. Residents have been warned by the mayor not to return over fears of further attacks. Explosions were also reported in the western city of Lviv overnight, where air defences reportedly destroyed 4 Russian cruise missiles. Earlier this week, Russia's prized warship sunk in the Black Sea. Ukraine says it struck the vessel. The Kremlin denied that, saying an explosion on board caused it to sink. Now the Russian Defence Ministry has published images showing what it says is the ship's crew. The undated video shows sailors on parade being inspected by the Commander-in-Chief of the Russian Navy. The focus today will be on what happens next in Mariupol. Will the remaining Ukrainian soldiers there ignore Russia's deadline offer to lay down their arms and continue to defend the city to the end? Helena Wilkinson, BBC News.
Well, every day, thousands of people continue to flee the fighting in Ukraine and seek shelter in Poland. But it's not just one-way traffic. Dan Johnson has been speaking to some of those who's made the decision to return to Ukraine over recent days.
This is where millions have said goodbye to their families, their country and the life they knew. But some are now coming back and being reunited. My little boys, Vladimir says, after 7 weeks apart. No dad, Boris tells him. We're grown up now.
Because children are already in Polish schools, they have vacation for a few days because of Easter, and we decided to choose this chance to see our family because we didn't see each other for a long time and we miss each other very much.
But it's a return not without trepidation.
I'm really afraid. When I told the kids that we are going to visit father, they was also shocked. But we explained them that here in the region is more or less okay, and we promised them that we will not go to other regions.
But others are going further. The Sakano families back together and heading home to Kyiv for good.
Yeah, we will go home, and we don't want to stay in Poland for a long time. Yeah.
It was a complicated decision, but definitely 100% we want to go home.
The numbers in and out have gradually narrowed, and those who patrol these borders are preparing to welcome more.
There are a lot of women with children who went a long way from home, so we want to make crossing the border as fast as possible.
In Lviv, others are on the move, heading east, buying tickets against the tide. Tatiana's ready to go home, close to Dnipro, after more than a month here.
We miss our home very much, and we need to do some work on the garden.
This morning we woke up and thought, shall we go or not? But we really had the tickets.
Are you brave?
I was when I was young. I used to do parachute jumps for sport, but this is completely different. I'm really afraid of what's happened and what could happen next.
And that's the point. These are journeys into the unknown. What awaits? What could be coming down the line? Most aren't looking too far ahead.
Just being together, have meat together, it's the best what we can have.
What's it like to see your family again?
It's a big value to have family and to see each other today. Sure, I love them.
Dan Johnson, BBC News, on Ukraine's border with Poland.
Well, Dan joins us now from the western city of Lviv. Dan, Russia's saying they will spare the lives of Ukrainian forces who surrender in Mariupol. How likely is that to happen?
There's no sign from the Ukrainians that they will tell their soldiers to surrender or accept them doing that. But President Zelensky had said that if his remaining soldiers in Mariupol were killed by the Russians, that would bring an end to any possibility of peace talks, at least in the immediate future. I can't really determine whether this offer of a peaceful surrender to those forces by the Russians is a sign that those Russian forces have struggled to actually take over the remaining bits of Mariupol they don't already control, or whether it is a genuine offer of mercy to those soldiers. We understand there are 2,500 Ukrainian soldiers who are now surrounded in the Azovstal steelworks. It's a plant that has seen some of the most fierce fighting in recent days as the Russians have launched repeated attacks to try to finally take over that last point of resistance. And it looks like they are prepared to discuss a peaceful surrender, but it means the Ukrainians waving a white flag, putting down their weapons and walking out into the hands of the Russians who've promised they will be looked after, they'll be held prisoner, but that they won't come to any harm if they do that. We'll have to see whether they take that opportunity now or whether they're determined to fight on to try to defend what's left of Mariupol.
Yeah, we wait to see how they respond to that ultimatum. Meanwhile, further reports of attacks in Kiev through the night.
Yes, there were more explosions reported in the early hours of this morning on the edge of the capital city. No more detail at the moment about what's been hit or whether there's been significant damage or any loss of life. But this has become a repeated pattern now. For the last 3 nights, there have been renewed attacks in Kyiv and in other cities too. There was another significant air raid alert in this city last night after people earlier this week had got used to sleeping again with peaceful nights. The last few nights have been disrupted by a number of air raid sirens right across Ukraine. It shows you how there is no peace for people anywhere in this country this weekend. They are on edge in expectation of further attacks possibly coming anywhere from the air, and they're expecting the intensifying fight in the east to get even worse, to take even more lives, and perhaps to involve even more civilians who have been trying to get away from those regions in the Donbass and the east of Ukraine.
My brother is no spy. That's the headline in the Sunday People. They're the words of the family of the British man captured by Russians while fighting for Ukraine. The paper says Aidan Aslin's brother is calling on the UK government to do more to secure his release. And the Prince of Wales has dedicated his Easter message to refugees fleeing from war in Ukraine. Prince Charles highlighted the plights of people displaced by conflicts, quote, wounded by the past and fearful of the future. He also paid tribute to those who were willing to open up their homes to help others in need. Prince Harry has said that the world is united with Ukraine during his opening speech at the Invictus Games ceremony. The Ukrainian team were given special permission by President Zelensky to compete at the Games, and Prince Harry, who founded the competition for injured service personnel, said the team's bravery in choosing to come couldn't be overstated.
Your bravery in choosing to come and for being here tonight cannot be overstated. You told me yesterday when you decided to join us despite all odds, you said you came to be on this global stage not simply to show your strength, but to tell your truth, the truth of what is happening in your country. You know we stand with you. The world is united with you, and still you deserve more.